What's going on, guys? It's Psyche, and welcome back to Dead Cells. Today, it's finally time to bring out the purple color once again and play some tactics. And boy, do I have a spicy build for you guys this week. I'm gonna be showcasing the Nerves of Steel weapon. So this is a weapon I go back and forth on a lot of times. I gave this a pretty decent rating on my tier list. However, the truth is I don't actually have that much practice of using it. But now, after today's run, I definitely have a new perspective on it now. And I can truly come to appreciate the uniqueness of its mechanics. Now, first and foremost, you might notice I don't actually have the Nerves of Steel in my inventory. And you might also notice that I'm playing on custom mode. Now, before anybody else asks, here are my custom mode settings. So as you can see, I actually have most support weapons still unlocked. The only ones I've restricted are the main weapons, as I want to primarily showcase the Nerves of Steel. However, I did not rule out any support weapons, such as blowgun, as you can see here, boy's axe, you got firebrand, you got throwing knife. All of these items are potentially synergies that can come with Nerves of Steel. That's why I try to restrict as little items as possible. I do this because most of you are wondering why I play custom mode now. And in addition, I have not restricted any skills or shields in the game. They are all possible to be found in my runs. And the reason that I didn't pick up Nerves of Steel right away in the prisoner's quarters is because, well, as it turns out, the starting tubes can only spawn one ranged weapon in there at a time. So it's actually impossible to get the Nerves of Steel as well as another ranged weapon. So I thought I might as well, kind of replicate what I did in my normal mode runs. I kind of just do like a makeshift build and wait until I get the Nerves of Steel. But don't worry guys, it's gonna happen very soon, as I am going through the Dilapidated Arboretum. Yeah, speaking of which, haven't been here in a while, right? I always go to Toxic Sewers because it's probably the most rewarding biomes and I go fight Conjunctivius, so I thought I might as well shake it up a little bit. Gonna pick up some nice tools along the way and finally gonna get my first Nerves of Steel weapon. So as I experimented with this, I realized how bad the weapon is without piercing shots. So I think in this case, I picked up Nerves of Steel simply because I wanted to showcase it and I want to have as much footage of me showcasing it. So even though this weapon doesn't have any good affixes, I just wanted to show it off. But thankfully for now, the boy's axe has me covered. So I guess now is a good time to kind of announce what I've been doing this couple of weeks. For those that don't know, school has started. I'm sure it has for a lot of you as well. I'm currently in my last year of college, currently looking to finish my bachelor's degree. So I think as for YouTube content, these types of showcase runs, you guys might actually see me cutting them short a couple of minutes compared to before. And this is because I can't really spend a lot of time editing these videos now. So before, I remember when I started the channel, the first ever showcase run that I did, and that was the Katana run, that video was like 35 minutes. And to trim down all of the excess commentary, it was like over an hour. So lately I've been trying to get into the 20 to 30 minute range for these showcase runs. But now I'm thinking maybe I need to cut back a little bit and maybe just focus around the sub 20 minute mark. Going into the prison depths, had some pretty close calls and I'm going to find a challenge rift. Obviously I'm not that crazy, I'm not just gonna go through the challenge rift while I'm cursed. I don't want to ruin this perfectly good run so far. So I'm just gonna take it nice and slow. And as for going to college, I actually don't live on campus, I have to commute there every day. And since I live pretty far away, I have to wake up at like 6 a.m. in order to make it to my 9 a.m. classes. So it's a really long commute, but usually on the bus or on the subway, I just read manga or just do whatever. Lately, I've been reading this one called Solo Leveling. It was recommended by a friend. It's been, proving to be pretty good so far. But commuting is one of those things I'll never get used to. I'm sure a lot of you do that as well. So yeah, the bottom line is I'll be a bit busier from now on. Though as for upload schedules, I'll probably still upload once a week just as before. I do want to focus on other things too, such as part-time jobs and everything. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around and being patient. And recently, I've been thinking of doing some more diverse content on the channel. I know lately I've been doing nothing but showcase runs, so I'm trying to maybe do some more guides or video essays once again. So I've been thinking of doing this one video where I kind of analyze around 10 to 20 roguelikes and then determine whether or not roguelikes require more skill or more luck in general. I have seen something similar someone did on Reddit, and I'm pretty inspired to do one myself, though a video like that is going to take a lot of research and as well as a lot of footage. A guide that I've been thinking of doing as well is a all shields explain kind of thing, where I kind of analyze every single shield in the game, give you guys a little rundown of how well I think each shield performs in each situations. Just a little mini tier list, I would say. I don't plan on showing you guys how to dodge or parry every single enemy in the game. Something like that is just a little bit too time consuming. And with the help of the training rooms, you guys can probably practice that pretty efficiently when 2.5 drops, of course. I recently saw the news for a Dead Cells mobile update. I don't play on mobile, so I don't know what it's about. Apparently they're adding custom mode as well as the Fatal Falls expansion. That is a lot to add for a single update, I would say. I like to guess that's the reason why 2.5 has been going so slowly towards its release. I mean, the beta, I believe, was released like a month ago. I think this is possibly the longest wait we've ever had in between like the alpha and its actual release. But you know, as long as the update is good, I don't really have too many complaints. I actually have some videos on standby, just from testing with the new aspects that were introduced. But the thing is, I can't exactly upload them unless 2.5 comes out, because it's not really like a accurate product. Because I'm not sure how accurate the video will be compared to the actual release of the update. Who knows, maybe they'll add some more aspects or just change some of them altogether. But as I'm going through the Morass of the Banished, so as I was saying, it's time to shake things up a little bit. We can't just always go to Conjunctivius. I'm going to finally purchase a Nerves of Steel, and in case you didn't see what the affixes were, this Nerves of Steel has a piercing all enemies affix. So that will make this very, very powerful compared to before. And right off the bat, just in a second, you'll see that the difference between this Nerves of Steel and the last one is just night and day. So as I get cursed, I'm going to enter a lot of situations with a lot of enemies clumped together, and you'll see how effective the Nerves of Steel is at dealing with them. Well, obviously not now, because I just kind of have the Owl Award doing my job for me, since I don't want to get my hands dirty, don't want to get into too much risk. I did take quite a beating earlier in the level, and on top of that, something that worries me with the Nerves of Steel is that it may not perform too well in bosses, considering as a tactics weapon, it deals damage, I would say slower compared to some other weapons out there. But just gonna clear out the biome and enter the Mama Take fight. Now, how well do you guys think I can hold up against this boss? Well, let's just find out. I believe I have a flamethrower turret here, so it may not have been the best option in terms of skills, but when I bought that turret, it has some really nice affixes. And really, as you can see, it's actually not doing that bad. But I'm gonna get kind of unlucky, and the sides are gonna rise up consecutively and hit me through that one time. There's really nothing you can do about that, so it's a little bit unfortunate. And it's kind of just the downside of not having a shield. But in terms of how well you can dodge that attack, this is probably the best method I can think of. And I'm gonna enter the second scythe phase, and as you can see, once again, the same thing happens. So kind of unfortunate, but what can you do? I debated about healing at this point, but I wanted to save it since I have disengagement still. And really the damage I'm doing is not bad actually, because I originally thought this fight is gonna take a pretty long time, but those skills and the Hakuda's bow in the backpack, it's just carrying the run right now, if I'm gonna be honest. Now I promise there will be more gameplay with the Nerves of Steel later. I promise to you guys it is actually pretty good. And I'm going to enter the Fractured Shrines because it is an incentivized biome. I'm playing on the 2.5 beta patch. So you get slightly more resources if you go to these types of biomes. And from what I can tell, the difference is actually kind of considerable. You do get a noticeable increase in your resources if you go here. So recently I did an anime tier list with my buddy. For those that haven't seen it, I don't blame you, it's not that good. And I know a lot of the ratings we gave it are pretty controversial. This is probably just something with the anime fan bases in general, because I feel like you can't really say an opinion on a show, particularly an anime, without like backlash. So for example, if I said Naruto is the greatest show to ever exist, I give it a 10 out of 10. People are gonna be like, nah, this is just overrated, you are wrong. In which case, I'll be like, okay, fine, I guess it sucks then, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And then you'll have people like, yeah, no, dude, you are tripping if you think it's that bad. How can you hate on something that's so universally liked? In which case, I'll be like, okay, fine, I guess it's not bad either. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty decent, so I guess I'll give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. And then people will be like, dude, come on, I've been watching Naruto since childhood, man. It's actually so good. It's the greatest show to ever exist. Yeah, so you kind of start to see how it does not matter what kind of opinions about an anime, you are going to receive some kind of backlash. It's kind of reminiscent of Twitter, by the way, which probably explains why I don't have a Twitter account. And listen, I get it, people just really like tier lists. People want to see what's good and what's bad. And the reason I don't have an F tier in my tier lists, as well as the anime tier list I did with my friend last time, it's because if I didn't like a show, any show, doesn't have to be anime obviously, then I'm just gonna drop it. I don't see a point of subjecting myself into doing something that I don't like, unless your intention is to purposely trash talk the show and reinforce your beliefs that you don't like it. So this is the reason I don't have an F tier in my tier lists. I don't think in Dead Cells a weapon is so bad that it should just be universally not used, if that even makes sense. So that's kind of my take on things. Is that a hot take? Well, I don't know. So as I'm going through this biome, I'm actually doing considerably well compared to what I did before, and this is probably because of the piercing nerves of steel. I did find the cursed chest rather early, and the only thing I have to worry about are the moving platforms and everything, because I know the traps can do a lot of damage to you. So I'm gonna pick up the remaining food that I found, and I'm going to head into the Undying Shores. Since I want to fight Scarecrow, I have not been in there for a very long time. I think for the past 4 videos, I've been just going to Giant and then skipping High Peak Castle. But today, I say, you know what, we should do something different. And I actually haven't seen a lot of the new structures in the Undying Shores. I know this was one of the biomes they revamped in 2.4, and they added a bunch of new structures. So it's gonna make this area just slightly more interesting. And from what I can see right now, I'm actually really impressed. These changes are pretty significant. I can definitely feel that this biome feels more fresh to go through now, if only they increase the rewards. Now, I know that the Undying Shores is a DLC area, that's why it only leads to the Scarecrow, but if this biome also led to the Giant, I would definitely be incentivized to come here more often. So yeah, this is where the Nerves of Steel starts ramping up. I don't have the Boy's Axe anymore simply because at this stage of the game, I think not having a shield just makes me feel extremely vulnerable. Again, this is the playstyle I like to go for. You guys obviously don't have to do that. I'm just trying to land some trick shots while I am in mid-air. And thanks to the vault from the Fractured Shrines, I actually got a legendary shield. Now, I don't use legendary items very often. I know some people, when they get legendary items, they like to kind of exploit it. I know in the Hand of the King fight, if you use a legendary item to deflect bombs, it ignores the boss damage cap. But I'm probably not going to do that because it's kind of cheating if you think about it. And I know legendary items scale off your 2 highest colors now. So in this case, the cudgel that I have is actually at 31 stats because I have 27 in tactics and then 4 each in the other 2 colors. So yeah, gonna enter the Scarecrow fight now. This is gonna be extremely dicey. As you can see, I really don't have a lot of health to work with. And man, do Scarecrow's attacks hit you hard. So I'm already down 1 health flask. This is honestly how I thought the fight would originally go. It's just a lot of work, and it's mainly just your 2 turrets that's doing the damage. Because all I'm doing right now is just running around the arena, and yeah, I'm just done. So not a clean fight by any means, and since I don't have the luxury of skipping High Peak Castle, I am gonna have to go through it. But hopefully I can make this up by picking up some food and not taking much damage at all. I did do just that, just gonna show myself killing the elites and everything. I don't think High Peak Castle is the most interesting biome in the game, but it's definitely not the worst. It's hard enough to make people think twice about coming here. And yeah, I'm gonna take some damage from that trap. I have no idea how the hitbox worked. I for sure thought it was gonna miss me, so kind of unfortunate. But at this point, very little could have been done. But I'm the type of person that don't like to spend too long in runs. Most of my runs last around an hour, maybe a little bit more. I know some runs can last up to an hour and a half. That's a little bit too long for me, honestly. So because of my fast-paced playstyle, I don't normally worry too much about the malaise. So it's rarely only an issue for me when the malaise bar is actually filled up by a lot. The only instance I thought of in this run was when I was in the Undying Shores. So I had like 5 bars filled up, and I definitely felt its impact. But nonetheless, entering the throne room, and I'm gonna fight the Hand of the King. So again, this is a fight where I'm not sure how effective the Nerves of Steel will be. Thankfully, I do have my 2 turrets to kind of carry the fight, and I do have a shield, so I feel a lot safer. So just from my personal observations, I feel like the Nerves of Steel is a good weapon if you actually pull off crits. However, one thing to consider is that if you don't pull off crits, then the disparity in damage is absolutely huge. You do almost no damage if you don't crit. So in that case, I would say it has a really high skill cap. However, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying to draw back your bow and have to wait for the exact moment. But luckily, I was able to redeem this run by pulling off a no-hit Hand of the King fight. So that's been going pretty well. And finally entering the last biome. So also something that I debated about this channel is that would you guys like to see games that are not in the category of roguelikes? I know some people have been requesting Stardew Valley content. I probably will not do that if I'm gonna be honest, simply because it's just such a far cry from roguelikes, and I don't even know what I'm gonna make if I do end up making content for that. I'm generally a big fan of story-based games. I definitely prefer single-player games over multiplayer ones, simply because I kinda suck. Especially in shooters. I suck at shooters. I played Fortnite with a friend when I was in high school, and we actually just got wrecked. I don't remember winning a single time, except the one time where I actually got paired up with some really good players from my high school. Another reason I don't play multiplayer games is because you kind of have to keep up with a lot of the events in it. And now with college ending, I don't have the time and energy to go back to those games like a second job. That's kind of my stance on things. Used to play a lot of them, but not anymore. I just want to log in whenever I want, play for as long as I want, and then just get out. No maintenance, no commitment, that type of thing. And Dead Cells is one of the games I can actually do that with. You play a run, which is only around an hour long. I know in terms of roguelikes, that's actually more of the longer end of things. I know some roguelikes out there don't actually have runs that are over an hour long. I know Hades is mostly around 30 something minutes. You also got Binding of Isaac, which is definitely below 1 hour for sure. Nuclear Throne is a extremely fast-paced game, which your runs will probably be over in like 15 minutes. And you also have Slay the Spire, which is again around 30 minutes. So yeah, if you guys have any good recommendations of the types of games I was just talking about, I would definitely want to play them. I'm all about trying out new things. And for some reason, I actually really like the farming simulator type of games, such as Stardew Valley. There were some mobile ones I tried out, but honestly those just didn't hit it for me. Just like a lot of the other live service games, you have to log back every single day and collect your crops, and I just don't really feel like doing that. Yeah, I'm gonna enter the tower now, and I'm gonna run into a lot of trouble here. You'll see me dealing with the librarians as well as the slammers consecutively, and I'm going to almost run into the electric traps. So by this point I considered about replacing my Nerves of Steel with a new one, but I just liked the piercing shots so much that I decided to keep it around. And in terms of skills, I just tried to look for good affixes and see what complemented my main setup. So this is the build I'll be going with into the Collector boss fight. And really, I'm not expecting miracles here. This isn't going to be a fight that's going to last under 1 minute, but we're going to have to see how it goes. It's almost every time I go to the Collector with a new build, I feel almost a little bit anxious simply because I don't know how well it's gonna go, but maybe that's just the beauty of Dead Cells. I mean, you guys must have felt this as well. You go into a boss with an unfamiliar build, and you're not sure of the outcome. In this case, what I usually do is to just carry a shield into the Collector fight, because I'm familiar with his attacks, and I just feel a lot safer. So we got the collector to heal 1 time in the first room. Didn't get him to heal 2 times, but again, I wasn't expecting miracles. He's gonna do his weird dance on top there. I don't really see him do that a lot, but apparently it happens sometimes. Just trying to get in as much damage as possible. I thought he was gonna heal in that room, but I guess not. But thankfully though, he healed immediately here. So what I recommend you guys to try out the Nerves of Steel, I would say definitely do. Some people I know are just not a fan of its playstyle, but if you can get used to the timing, you can pretty much land crits every single time. And obviously I like to play defensively. If you guys are a bit more ambitious, you can definitely try going to these fights with a different set of mutations. I normally always pick disengagement, but if you guys are really confident, you can definitely try something else. And yeah, on top of that, I got the bleeding as well as the burning synergies. And Hokuto's bow, as always, is just insanely powerful. I don't care how much they nerf this weapon, unless they completely delete it from the game, it's just gonna be extremely good. I know I've showcased a long streak of brutality weapons at this point, I think like 3 in total, and now I'm showcasing a tactics weapon, so I think it's only natural that the next time I showcase something, it's gonna be survival. I mean, come on, it may not be my favorite color in the game, but I definitely think it deserves the spotlight. So finally, we got enough damage in to finally get the Panacea. I'm gonna drink it, and I wanted to land some crits in mid-air just to make it look cool and fancy, just to end the fight with style. But yeah, he's gonna do his annoying thing, but I finally was able to end the fight. So thank you guys for joining me with this Nerves of Steel showcase. Hopefully this inspired you to try out a new weapon you haven't before. This fight actually ended up a lot better than I thought it would, because I actually no-hit this fight. And really, no-hitting collector, that's not something you see very often. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's showcase, and I'll see you all next time.